I'm so happy because I'm not using Minicam. I'm actually using OBS Studio and it works perfectly. It's amazing and it's free. So Minicam, you can pound sand. OBS is awesome. I assume that you are, like me, having ongoing conversations about artificial intelligence and all of the merits and limitations and thorns and roses and good and bad and ugly. Um, I've said before, I actually think it's a powerful tool, and with great power comes great responsibility, and the same white hat and black hat applications of a powerful tool are going to present themselves. And that it's the salespeople who very often are leading with some black hat applications of the powerful tool. Anyways, as a creative, I am admittedly probably not impartial or middle of the bell curve or continuum in terms of being a fan. I tend to be somewhat irritated at the fast and cheap notions of the tool. But the question is, yeah, how good? Now, tactically good or strategically good? Anyways, I want to retell the story. So the retelling of the story, and if I can use OBS here to provide some examples here. So let's see if I move myself over here. Up on screen here, it's just a browser with some Tony Hawk Pro Skater images. And years ago, I was hanging out with my cousins, and they were having a conversation. This is Matt and Steve, and Steve was saying how realistic Tony Hawk Pro Skater was. It's just like real skateboarding. And then Matt, whose timing was impeccable, chimed in and said, "Do you know what's like skate? You know what's a lot like skateboarding? Skateboarding." Anyways, similarly, another story about the real thing. When I was a student, I think probably third year at Alberta College of Art and Design, now Alberta University of the Arts, we had an assignment to combine a notable personality and combine their personality attributes and brand with an artistic style or movement. And I can't remember my movement, but I believe it was like Russian constructivism or something like that, combined with Leonard Cohen. Okay. So this is an example of assuming that a tool is going to think for you, or if you hasten to be using a tool before you actually have a concept, this is what's going to happen. And so in this case, I was like, I was like, okay, Russian constructivism, whatever. I knew I wanted a woodcut, and so I was like immediately trolling for, woodcut style fonts, and it 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 felt icky and gross. Okay, and that's the way artificial intelligence a lot of times feels, icky and gross. It's not as if it isn't a powerful tool. It's not as if these are exactly like the criteria that I'm giving to the machine. The machine is giving me exactly the input or the output that I've given input for, garbage in, garbage out. I was giving it garbage. It was giving me garbage until all of a sudden, and I've ranted about this, about the virtues of foundation year. I realized, what's a lot like woodcut? Woodcut. And so I went, literally, I just got up, well, I left the design side, went down to the fine art side, and pretended like I was in a printmaking class. There was students in there, but it's a big enough place. You just sort of like walk in. It's not like the prof. It's not like Thomas Lax is in there doing anything. Anyways, that's a whole other story. The guy gave me a B for no reason. I was like, unless you can tell me why this isn't an A, then it's an A. Like, I need A's. So I've done everything. Anyways, printmaking. But because I had been in there and I knew the tools, I knew the toys, and because I had played with them, that's the key that I'm trying to make here. Because I had played with them, it actually assisted in my creative process. They the curriculum mandated that I play. And so what I ended up doing was I just bought a piece of wood from this student store, and I came up with this, and I brought it back to the to the design side, and everybody was like, "Oh man, look at that! How'd you get it to look like woodcut?" And I was like, "Well, I actually cut that out of wood." Okay, so yes, on the one hand, what I'm saying is that the tools don't think for you. The woodcut fonts didn't think for me. And I am advocating that like a measure of, but a measure of familiarity with the capacity of the tools can be beneficial. I felt like it was beneficial in this case. Okay, so all of that said, and I have been feeling the urge to just to play with AI, and yet I've sort of been playing with it for its own sake. It hasn't felt as enticing as this. The notion that AI can help, level the playing field, democratize user-generated advocacy for and being a fan of certain brands by generating your own creative for brands is kind of exciting to me, because I would argue makers got to make, and if you've got something that's been nagging at you for a long time, AI might help you to be understood. So in previous videos, I've talked about the brand UHaul, and I feel like UHaul is missing a huge opportunity to much in the same way that Steve Jobs, when he came back and rescued Apple, said, look, we're not about building boxes for you to get your work done, right? And then he went on to launch the Crazy Ones, Here's to the Crazy Ones campaign, and then crushed it ever after with actually all of those things. But the point is that tactically speaking, Apple makes computers, Windows makes computers. Apple's saying, it was more about like a Simon Sinek why. What's the why of U-Haul? And I think that I've said in another video that I think that U-Haul is about more than boxes. I've said it's actually about courage. So in a previous video, I tried using stock photos in a sort of actually here, maybe I can scrub that video just a sec. Yeah, look at that. There, I've got it. Okay, so here is a video that I made. I'm going to get rid of me, and let's full screen that thing, buddy. Okay, so there's a video of me talking about the same thing I'm talking about. This is 4 years ago, so I'm going to scrub through this thing, and I'm actually talking about YouTube channels, and this was kind of not long after the pandemic, and I was just sort of auditing content that I was watching. Okay, so this is what's on screen now are just stills, and I'm narrating kind of like a voiceover for this YouTube creative about what heroes look like. Would we recognize one? And then talking about people who are not having a good day, sacrifice, charlatans in sales. Anyways, here we go. So there was these different stories. One of them is of like a single mother, maybe someone who's educating themselves, maybe an immigrant, maybe they're working on their third or fourth language, training, getting skills. Maybe it's somebody from the farm moving into the big city. Maybe it's someone chasing a dream. Essentially what I'm saying is maybe it's this guy. So this is a stock piece of footage. So each of these pieces of stock footage, there she is. There's mom doing the hero work. I'm basically saying, yeah, I put the skateboarding metaphor in there about how many times you can get up. And okay, so I'm saying UHaul is all about courage. It's implied that if someone's using UHaul, they don't have money to pay someone else to move their stuff. So to me, I'm thinking UHaul is actually about courage and is actually about change. That's what the brand is actually about. And then to cap it all off, if you take the sign language sign for the acronym UH, if you look down here, there's UH. So essentially you're making the exact same hand motion with your hand, but you're literally doing this. So UH. Like, that's your gang sign right there. So you're driving by from U-Haul to U-Haul, you see someone else, and you just do this. That's what that means. It means I see you. It means that the heroes are not just the ones who are that teeny tiny portion of the, the bell curve who've made it. It's actually about celebrating process and not just this finished tactic, which ironically is like half the problem with AI. So let me report on what I've seen with AI, because it is actually kind of interesting and fun. And so the images that I showed you beforehand are the type of things that I'm trying to replicate what this ad campaign could look like. So then the thought was, well, I wonder if AI could help me increase the fidelity, or I could pull down some image or even video assets that I could then slap in a video editor to arrange to create some higher fidelity mock-ups of what this ad would look like. And so far, I've played with a couple image generators, and I just kind of wanted to show you them, because it also sort of indicts, it's a curious sort of indictment about what AI is not doing. And so I feel like it can be used carefully. So right here, this is using Artlist, and I'm like teetering on getting a subscription, but like this is an image generated for the going from the small town into the big city type story. I don't know why the vehicle's hovering like 20 feet in the air. I tried to get it to put the car back down lower. There was supposed to be a criteria change on one of these. But if you actually start to pay attention, it's like, what is this car doing? Okay, so if I, yeah, view original image. Anyways, okay, so add another car. So first I had this image on the right, and then I asked for some more vehicle congestion, so it's stuck in this car, which is about ready to drive into this pylon here. And these vehicles are going nowhere. This vehicle to me feels out of scale, and this vehicle is hovering 20 feet in the air. So it's like, what I'm saying is for mock-ups, great. You can communicate to a room of people what the concept is. This is the concept. And in fact, a lot of this goes on, and a lot of this like pizza math is going on in post anyways, with saying what can we get away with and for how long, and is it worth the cost in time and money to increase the fidelity in this obscure portion, or we just roll with it. Like, there's a lot of cutting room decisions about just roll with it. I want to show some examples of things that I think are interesting and fun in pursuit of like high fidelity, and things that AI is doing that it doesn't know that it's doing, which is it doesn't know what it doesn't know, because it's a tactical tool that everybody's embellishing as being like this strategic mecca. Anyways, so here's another part of the narrative that I was telling you about. Like, I want this image of like, as a juxtaposition, you're going from small town Iowa to the big city, right? Like that's a big change. And then it generated some video from an image. First I generated this, then I asked it to generate an image. If I was the manager of this U-Haul, I'd probably be like, go clean up the front. It's looking kind of janky. But like if all you're doing is showing a few seconds of it in like edited stuff, then maybe some of these clips are going to be just the ticket. I also wanted to show some assets that have come down from a website called Envato. Envato? Yeah, here it is here. So, so this website has been quite interesting. Like I'm teetering on getting a subscription so I can really start to see how I can refine these things. But check out some of these pieces that have come down from Envato, and so I actually now have a folder that I'm entitling AI image generated. So here's an MP4 actually, which is 1366 by 768, but it's not bad. I said late summer, and so the corn's kind of like crispy. I was kind of hoping for a green one, and on second thought, I said horizon for the water tower. It's creeping along, but I kind of need a town to go with it. Still though, that's pretty cool. What else do I got? Here's another MP4. Look at this poor old guy. And this is weird. So in this video, it's like this guy, everybody's pretty formally dressed. This must be like, this guy just got fired, but look at him. He's like, oh, buddy. So this is an AI generated image. I cannot figure out, like in the video, it's like, are we inside an elevator? Are we outside an elevator? Who is this guy? Is he this guy? Like they're implying reflection, but the reflections don't match. But I mean, if all I needed was about 3 seconds, we could let that slide. Okay, here's a nice, oh, this is a great image. This is just an image, but like, in fact, it's like square aspect ratio with rounded corners with like a photo effect in here. But, and it's great. The sling, like the baby sling is spot on. Like that's, I wanted a mom wearing a baby and she's in this tiny apartment. But I'm like, I cannot figure out what is going on. Is this a hot plate beside like, do we have two cook plates? Anyways, like a range topped by another hot plate. Anyways, I think that this next piece is the piece that I'm like super stoked on. Like this image is like, it's perfect. Like this image is so rad. So I said I wanted a Ford Explorer, but then it gave me a new Ford Explorer. I'm like, no man, I want like a Jurassic Park beat up mismatched auto body panels, and the AI has done a great job of it. So now this is actually a video clip, so I'm gonna play this, but like watch this playback. Like this would work great. Like that, it's such a good clip for what I'm trying to, for the story I'm trying to tell. But if you actually like look at what's going on with the cars in the background, like I'm gonna scrub. Okay, what is going on there? There's a car. Like, what even kind of car is that? That's so funny. It's like a coupe. It's like a SUV coupe going the wrong way at a weird, like it's pacing with the other, like it's in the same lane. It's just like, what is going on? Start to look at some of the other things. So I'll just play it at real speed, and you're just like, it's sort of like that element is breaking the fourth wall. These tiny details of like, something's not right about that. if you're just doing a mock-up, it's fine. It doesn't have to be right. You're saying this, you could create a mock-up where some of those variables have been left unattended, and that's fine. I'm excited because I feel like this, like, that is such a great shot of what I'm trying to say. What I'm trying to say is you're looking at hero business right there. It doesn't look like it, but U-Haul is not about boxes. It's about recognizing people who are courageous enough to make change. Anyways, and then that's the sign. But yeah, I think I'm gonna have to subscribe because I'm really intrigued about how it's weird. It's like I want AI to think, but I can still feel this indictment that it's not thinking, it's just grabbing off of the shelf and putting together. I am fascinated in like the order in which it's putting these images together. I mean, maybe that'll require some experimentation of the order of the prompts. Does it attribute priority or, but I'm not, it'll be interesting to see what people create with it. Yeah, it'll be, and yeah, anyways, for the most part, I've been hating on it, but because I've got this ongoing problem or lost opportunity, I feel like with U-Haul, like I feel like U-Haul could make such good storytelling. Just the campaign would have so much legs to branch and talk about the uncelebrated people who do the hero work in the community without like, because being popular is great, but it is not the only thing that makes for greatness is being popular. Interesting.